today. If you are here, give me a howdy, thumbs up, a wave, something, so that I know that you are indeed here with me today. So the question for you today is, do you want to make impact? Well, of course you do. Was that really even a question, right? Was that even really a question? Do you want to make impact? But of course you do. Of course you want to make impact. So what's the best way? What's the best way for you, and easiest way and most authentic way for you to make impact? It's by doing what? Sharing your story. By sharing your story. And this may seem like a broken record for those of you who follow me, have for some time, but anybody that's new, tell me where you're from. Let me know where you're from, because I love to connect with like-minded soulpreneurs. I see April Woodson is here, and Renee, of course, is here. Howdy, howdy, friends. And Valerie is here. Hey, Valerie, nice to have you as well. Okay, so the best way is to authentically tell your story. Why? Why is that? Well, what happens when we tell story is that our brains actually synchronize. There's been scientific research done on this, that the brain actually synchronizes with the person in which you are telling your story to. And so consequently, they feel that it's almost like it's their own experience. They're living through it. And there's history on this. I mean, if you think about it, from the time we were like cave people 3,000-4,000 years ago, we've been telling stories around a fire. The fire at night, we would tell the stories of how we went to find the prey and what happened and what didn't happen, really. And that's where exaggeration began, I have a feeling. And what scientists have realized is that in the brain process, in the development of our brains, storytelling became a part of the development of our brains. So our brains are literally wired for it. So when you use a story, you are actually helping somebody engage in their brain, and therefore they feel more connected to you. How cool is that? And I know this to be true. I know this to be true because I've gone on stages and told stories. I was just yesterday talking to my friend Jeannie, who I met because I was telling my story. And I think there's this fallacy or this belief that your story has to be, dramatic and like homelessness or drug addiction or abuse or what have you. It doesn't need to be that big. In fact, sometimes the smaller, more quiet, more intimate, more real that we can kind of really connect to stories, the ones that are more universal for everyone, are the ones that people most connect to. And with Jeannie, I was on stage, which was right before the pandemic, right before the shutdown, giving a speech. And I told this speech, and I didn't know Jeannie yet. And I told this story of basically how I had had a failed product. And I had this failed product launch. But more than that, I told the story, and I was nervous, let me tell you, telling this story about failure. We all love to tell the stories of our successes, right? But to tell the story of failure was like, whoa, it was gripping me. Sweat beating down my face, my stomach was in knots, but I went out there and I was like, I'm just going to do it, and I'm going to make it about them. So I asked a question that started, and the question was simply, have you ever felt like you weren't enough? Have you ever felt like you weren't enough? And that question began then the dialogue that I had with people. And in that, I told this story of my product launch fail. But what I did was that I showed the transformation and what I learned from that failed launch, because people don't want to hear just your failure. They want to hear what you learned. And through that, through my telling of that story, after I got off the stage, there was a line of people waiting to speak with me. A line of people. One of them was Jeannie. And we've been friends since. 2 years later, a year and a half later. How long has this pandemic been going on? However it's been going on, we had this connection, and then of course turned into a client, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But that's really how it happens, is through connection. And how do you connect with people? Connect with people through telling your story, through being real and authentic. So if this feels right to you, if this feels like something that you're interested in diving into further, I'm offering a free 3-day training beginning next Monday, a week from today at 10 a.m. Pacific time. It's called Storytelling to Make Sales, and you can register at storytellingtomakesales.com. Truly, storytellingtomakesales.com. You can register to be a part of the 3-day training. It's Monday, Wednesday, Friday next week. If you have to miss one, don't worry about it. There'll be replays sent out. But yes, April, is there a formula to a good story? Yes, there is. And that is part of what we dive into in the training that I'm doing, and then also in my course, Real Stories That Sell. Oh, you're already there. Okay, April Woodson has already signed up. So therefore, you're gonna get it. You're gonna get that. So that's awesome. Yeah. So I will see you then next Monday. We'll go into more, of course, of all of this, how, the what, the why, etc. And the biggest thing I'll say to you today, and I'll leave this with you, just begin. First step to telling your stories is simply to begin. When you start doing it, you get better and better and better. April and Renee and Valerie and anybody else who's watching, and especially if you're on the replay, hashtag replay, hashtag replay, because I will connect with you and I'll answer questions that you may have. But I will be back on Wednesday this week, and then next week, of course, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, for the training. Come join us. I'll see you then. Have a great rest of your day, friends. Bye. Bye, friends.